February 16, 1943. The screwdriver shook a little in German engineer Klaus Herrmann's hand as he took out the last screw from the metal cover of the captured American radio. The lab was very quiet. Only the soft hum of the ceiling lights could be heard. 5 of Germany's best radio engineers stood around him watching closely with serious and curious faces. The radio had been taken from American troops during the hard fight at Kasserine Pass, the first big battle between U.S. and German soldiers in North Africa. For months, German army engineers had tried to find out how the Allied soldiers were using such fast and smart radios. Their own German radios worked fine, but reports said the enemy was talking quicker, getting air help, faster and shooting artillery almost right away. Something had clearly changed in the Allied radio system. And now, for the first time, they had proof right in front of them. Klaus slowly lifted the last panel and saw a tight maze of wires, shiny coils, and strange parts. "Inside this," he whispered, "is not like anything we ever made." The others looked at each other. They were all experts in radio and long-distance signals. They had worked on Germany's most advanced projects, but even they could tell this radio was different. The small size, the odd setup of the vacuum tubes, and the careful build of each piece showed something new, something far better than any normal Allied machine. Outside snow was falling softly over Berlin inside the lab. The air felt tight with both excitement and worry. The device was an STR-300, one of the first real portable FM radios ever made. American soldiers called it the walkie-talkie. But to the German engineers, it was a huge change in how their enemy fought. Their wars for years, German troops had used AM radios, which often made crackling noises and were easy for the enemy to hear. But this new FM radio was not the same. Its sound was clear, hard to block, and stayed strong even through smoke noise. And battle confusion as the engineers took the radio apart, piece by piece. They began to see how amazing it really was. Every small wire and part showed smart and careful work. They saw how well the inside was protected, and how the sender and receiver were joined together to let soldiers talk clearly across miles. Yes, the radio was American, but its fine design seemed to have a touch of British, or maybe old European ideas in it. Klaus quickly wrote notes, while the head engineer, Dr. Otto Werrer, studied the antenna. "If this kind of radio becomes common," Werrer said quietly, "it could change everything in war." The others agreed. They all knew that, for the Wehrmacht, fast and clear talking was both a strength and a weakness. Their lightning war. Plans needed quick orders, but as the war went on, their radios had more problems with enemy blocking and signal loss. Soon the news of this new radio spread fast across German intelligence and science offices. Within days, it was taken under strong guard to Berlin's Telefunken Research Labs, the center of Germany's war communication work. There, a special team was formed under direct command from the Ministry of Armaments, led by Albert Speer himself. Their job was simple, but very hard copy the American radio and make a German version as fast as possible. But that was not easy at all. The Allies had done something Germany never expected. They had found the perfect mix of movement and dependability. The SCR-300 radio made by Motorola. Engineers and the U.S. Signal Corps was built for tough war places. It could work in snow, mud, or heat, and used light batteries that let soldiers stay in touch without the big heavy radio boxes from before inside the Telefunken lab. Klaus and his team worked non-stop. They studied every wire, every small part, every tiny point of metal. The hard part was not just learning how it worked. It was making one when Germany's factories were falling apart. Copper was rare. Good vacuum tubes were hard to get, and Allied planes were bombing their factories almost every day. But still, the engineers kept going. By the end of 1943, they built a test radio called the Feld-Fu-B. It was Germany's try at making their own walkie-talkie. It was smart work, but too heavy, easy to break, and hard to use. Soldiers had to adjust it all the time. And in battle, that was almost impossible to do. Even with its problems, the radio showed something big. It showed how new ideas and technology were changing war. In the past, people won battles with bigger armies or braver plans. But now, in the 1900s, the winners were the ones who could talk the fastest, share orders, the quickest, and outsmart their enemies in the silent world of signals and radio waves. When 1944 began, German engineers grew more worried as Allied radio systems kept spreading fast. American tank groups moved with amazing accuracy, and airborne troops hit their targets perfectly. What once looked to Germans like wild and messy fighting was now smooth and organized war, like nothing they had ever seen. Every Allied signal reminded them that battles were now fought, not just with machines, but with brains in Berlin. Klaus kept working, while the war turned worse for Germany. New orders told him to block Allied radio talks to break the same systems he had once respected. With each month, it became more obvious that the next kind of war would be decided not by tanks or guns, but by wires, circuits, and the people who knew how to use them. When the war finally ended, the Telefunken lab was destroyed, once full of noise and workers. It was now broken, empty, and robbed. The engineers had all gone different ways. Klaus was caught by the Soviet army, but his skill in radio building saved him. Instead of prison, he was asked to work with them. The Soviets wanted to learn how to build strong radio systems like the West had, and they hired many German experts at the same time. American scientists also studied the German test radios. They saw that their own technology had started something much bigger, a worldwide race. In just a few years, the ideas made in secret labs during the war turned into peaceful progress, leading to the transistor long-distance talking, and later the wireless world that would link everyone on Earth. For Klaus, the memory of that cold February day in 1943 never left his mind. The moment he opened the American radio had started something new. It was the start of a time when power would not be counted by armies or empires anymore, but by knowledge and information. The walkie-talkie, which was once just a simple tool for soldiers, had become a sign of something much bigger. It was the beginning of the age of communication, and even though the world around him was broken and destroyed, the idea behind that radio stayed alive. It showed that even in the darkest times of war, human creativity could still find a way to keep people connected.